Welcome to It's All Fine and Dangy, where we talk about community, health, culture, and all of the big and little things that make life good. Here are your hosts, Dan and Angie.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 94 of the It's All Fine and Dangy podcast. We want to thank you for joining us, as always. This week we have a very special guest we're excited to introduce to you. Today we are sitting with Teri Siciliano. Teri works at the Densch Performing Arts Center in Sanford, Florida. And today we're going to learn all about Teri, all about live theater, all about the center itself. So Teri, hi, and welcome to the show. Thank you for
Hi,
sitting with
how
us.
are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm great.
Yes, we are excited to talk to you. We're excited to learn all about you and all about the theater.
And you know what I'm excited about? Having another guest in the studio.
Yes, we have Teri in the studio today. We're being safe, but we have her in the studio.
Yes.
And so that's been really nice to, we had Matthew a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Teri today. And we've got guests lined up this month that are going to be meeting with us. Whether we're in the studio or outside, it's going to be nice.
So if anybody knows, and you probably do, because you've been listening, Teri. So when we first started, we'd be on the, on location, basically.
Right.
So we would go meet people at farms and at their businesses. And we haven't been doing that, obviously. And then we had just set up the studio and had a handful of guests, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so it's been a long time.
So you're doing phone interviews.
It's,
We were
and
doing
it's
the
video,
virtual, and I don't love it.
It's not, it's good because we can still see people, but it's
Yeah.
not the same. So where you're sitting, I will put my computer about right where your face is, about right where their digital face would
Yeah.
be. So
So,
we try to do
kind
our
of,
best, but it's just
Yeah.
not the same.
It's better when it's live.
It really is.
It really is. We definitely like
More
it this
fun.
way. It is.
Undoubtedly. And so, Teri, like we always do, and again, I know you listen to the show, but before we get into talking about the theater and everything, can you tell us a little bit about yourself personally? Maybe family life, where you grew up, that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm originally from New York, but I've actually been living in Florida since I was 14, so it's been a lot of years. I
You're
moved
kind of a
here.
Floridian.
You're a Floridian.
Yeah.
I
for
kind of
sure.
moved here in 1971. I went to Lake Brantley High School.
Wow.
Oh,
So
very nice.
I'm a local person,
Oh, very
more
nice.
or less. And I did go back to New York for 9 years in 1987. Then I came back here in 1995.
Oh, wow.
So
That's culture shock.
I'm really a Florida girl now. I mean, there's no. I tell everybody Brooklyn is an attitude, not a place. So, and sometimes the Brooklyn comes out. You want to just get out of my way. So, but,
I love
mean,
that.
I'm a single mother. I have 3 boys. My youngest is now 30. 2 of my 3 children live in New York.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
They went back up there. One of them lives down here in Lake Mary. And
So you have a place to visit when you go up.
Oh, yeah.
If you decide to go,
yeah.
just don't go at the cold time of year. That's
I know. I don't go. I don't go in the winter. I go in the summer.
so. You are like me. You are a boy mom.
Oh yeah, I'm a
That's
boy
an
mom.
interesting journey.
I do
isn't
not
it?
know how to do girls at all, so I'm
Okay,
good with that.
so I don't neither, but my first grandchild is a girl.
We'll have fun with that. But grandchildren are different.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I have 2 grandchildren.
So
Boys, though.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the journey. I figured I'll, just teach her how to do the rough and
Sure.
what is it?
Well, rough and tumble.
Rough
whatever.
and tumbling. Yes.
Well, I can
so
tell
we'll
you,
do that
as
fun
the father of a daughter, I don't know how to do it with daughters or sons either. So,
Not many of us do. So you're in good company.
It's a learning experience, the whole entire journey.
so you've been here for quite some time. You moved,
yeah.
You moved here the first time the year I was born. So essentially, on and off, you've been here as long as I've been here.
Yeah.
So
A
So
long
you
time.
went to Lake Brantley. Is this where you met Dan's mom?
Yes.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I think we might have met there one time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't stay in Lake Brantley long. I was in a private school, so I
Okay.
went back there. But yeah, it's amazing because we were in the same graduating class.
that is
Basically.
crazy.
Wow.
I did not know that. What a great question. I did
yeah.
not know that.
She always tells everybody that we know each other from Lake Brantley.
How cool is that?
I mean, technically, yeah. Like,
Both of my kids have gone there.
Yeah.
So that's their school. That school is as big as a college compared
Oh,
to
now
mine.
it is.
Yeah.
oh, I know. When I first went on that campus, when my son started going there, he went to Mount Dora High School, which is a tiny little campus.
Yeah.
And then I started walking around, and I'm like, Oh my gosh. How do you even get from one side of campus to the next without like being in a full sprint?
Golf cart.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy.
So, Teri, were you always interested in theater, like back in the school days even?
Well, I mean, I was, but I primarily, because my older son, who's the school teacher, he teaches at Dr. Phillips High School English.
Oh, very nice.
He got involved in the theater when he was like 13.
Okay.
So my middle child was the one that I thought would really like this.
Right.
So I bring my kids to go see a show, and middle one had no interest. He said, I'm not going to have anybody telling me what to do.
Okay.
So I said, okay.
As a
But
director.
the older one said, can I do this? I said, sure. So his
how
first
cool.
show was Guys and Dolls Jr., and he was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I got reacquainted with the theater. I was in the theater when I was his age, but I never stayed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He, however, still does it and is currently in Sister Act at our theater.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that.
So he continually does shows.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did Spam a lot there, and he does theater in several different places.
So he was the one that sort of kept you in it now.
You became like a theater mom.
I was a theater mom, and I was very connected to it. I was actually kind of recruited for the board in Wayne Densch Performing Arts Center by the director because I was a fundraiser girl. I was the PTA fundraiser girl.
Yeah.
I did a lot of fundraising. I'm one of those people that, never knew a stranger and has no problem knocking on doors and asking people for money, even if I don't know them.
And I'm telling you, they are looking for that.
Yes,
Like,
so
especially,
I kind of joined the board because they wanted me to do fundraising,
Right.
and of course it's a non-paying position. I mean, you're volunteering.
Yeah.
And I live in Altamont, theaters in Sanford. It was a lot of back and forth, and I was like, you know what? I'm ready for this. Let me do this.
Go all in.
I'm working part time, so I might as well go do this full time. So I spent a lot of time at the theater in the very beginning, and I've been on the board since 2011.
Wow.
We have a working board.
Yeah.
Nobody gets paid there except for one person. Everybody else is a volunteer.
So it is a passion project across the board.
It is
Wow.
completely a community theater.
Yeah.
And that's what that means, that, the community is getting together and doing things.
Yes.
And they've done, things have evolved and evolved and evolved, and we're in a really good place right now. Our theater has reopened. We reopened a while ago, and we are doing social distancing there. We're only doing 40% capacity.
Yeah.
Good.
Unfortunately, the theater seats 585 people.
I was going to say, that's a big theater.
It is.
Yeah.
It
Now
is.
that is downsized because I think I read when they first opened, it was like 863 people in the 30s. Yeah,
It probably
1923.
It probably was, but they've removed seats and added this and done that.
Concession stands, things like that. That
Right.
they've probably added. Okay, cool.
They've added several things. So this theater has gone through several transformations.
But that's a big theater.
Because it was built in 1923, so our 100-year anniversary is coming up.
That's awesome.
We'll be having a big party in 2023.
Yes.
Okay.
That will be very cool.
We rely a lot on donations. We rely a lot on fundraising. So we have our big fundraiser coming up, annual fundraiser. It's called Putting on the Ritz. And I'll tell you that the reason for that name is that back in the day, this theater was called the Ritz Theater.
Yes.
Okay. So we
Some
have
of that history.
We
Yes.
have restored the sign, put the
I
Ritz
saw
sign
that.
back up there.
That was just recently. And it's in like the neon lights
Yep.
too. So it's that old kind of nostalgic feel of probably how it originally was.
Well, and we have so many stories of people that used to come there with their RC bottle caps and go to the movies there, and they did vaudeville there. They did so much, and for many, many years the theater was dark because they didn't have the money to keep it open.
Because it relies on volunteers and donations, like you said, and it probably went through those time periods in the history of this country where that wasn't a priority. Right?
when they were a movie theater, then they had to compete with the big movie theaters, and that didn't work. So back in 2000. The theater was revived by a woman named Helen Stairs. Most people remember the name the Helen Stairs Theater because she single-handedly went out and raised funds to restore that theater back to its original beauty.
So I wonder if she had some kind of childhood memory of the theater or just wanted it back.
We still have her picture and her history on the wall in there, because if it wasn't for her putting it back together, I don't know that we'd be there right now.
Oh,
because
that's amazing.
It was, millions of dollars to put that theater back to original.
Yeah.
So that part of it is part of the history that we keep. We hang on to.
Oh, and I love that. We were going to ask about the history of the theater. But real quick, were you saying it was a movie theater for a time?
It was a movie theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So before it was an actual live theater.
Or after.
It was a live theater, then a movie theater, and then a live theater again.
I get it.
Okay.
So they tried to stay alive by becoming a movie theater when that competition came.
Right.
Now, do you guys do both? Because we were talking.
We do.
Yeah,
do?
we were talking about like the Winter Garden Theater.
Or they play old movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well-
and they do the old movies sometimes too. So
we
that's
have
really cool.
we have partnered with the city of Sanford, which, by the way, they're really big community supporters. The city does a lot for the community.
Yeah.
So we partnered with them, and once a month, or I believe it's like every 2 months, every other month, they show a movie,
Oh, that's
and
so
it's
cool.
$5.
Yeah.
And it starts at 7:26. Don't ask me why.
Right.
They started out by putting the notice in the water bill so that people in the city saw that what was going on.
Oh,
and
cool.
they probably get about 100 to 150 people there to come and see The Thing or The Blob or the whatever.
Oh, The Thing is
They're
one
all
of
those-
Dan's favorite movies.
all those old. They're old movies. They're all old movies, and
Yeah.
they have a whole committee, which
Yeah.
somebody from our board is also on that movie committee.
I have got to see The Thing in the theater. That
Like,
would be.
Oh.
I would
yeah.
pay double the price of a regular movie ticket for that. So that's amazing.
We also partnered with, there's an organization called Love Your Shorts, which is a short, they do short films. I like to call them ADD films because they're they're all 30 minutes or less. Okay, which is kind of the way ADD people like to watch movies in
That's
30 minutes or
right.
less.
Are these like
Get outta
indie
here.
films or something? Or?
No, people come from all over the world. They're created by, you could submit a film.
Independent people.
They're all
Okay.
independents.
Okay.
They do it in blocks.
Right.
So it's the comedy block you're going to see for an hour and a half. You're going to see all comedies, and it's
So like 3 comedies in an hour
well,
and a half.
probably 8 because
Oh,
there's
even
some of them are
shorter.
only 3 minutes. Some of
So
them
it's
are
almost
5
like
minutes.
an indie short film festival.
It
So
is a short film festival. They partnered with the theater because they use our theater for the whole week.
Wow.
They give out an award called the Monroe Award, Lake Monroe.
Yes.
Hence, people really like this. They give out
Oh, wow.
scholarships to new and up and coming filmmakers, and it's a great community event.
I would think you guys get people like kids from wholesale.
Full
Full
Sail.
Sail, we do. We
have
do
wholesale
get people
kids.
from Full Sail, but we get it's funny because you don't know really who's going to be there, and
Yeah.
some of them come back year after year. But every year there's like a bunch of new people, and they put a lounge together for them. It's a fabulous event.
Is it normally the same time every year?
Valentine's weekend.
This weekend? Are they doing one this year?
They are.
Oh, that is a good Valentine's Day. And you'll
Oh,
be
it
practicing
sounds
social
fun.
distancing,
Oh,
only
yeah.
selling so many tickets.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really fun and unique. We
That
like unique
really-
things
really
to do.
does.
It's fun. It's a fun event. So we're going from our big fundraiser on January 30th. That is called Putting on the Ritz.
Oh, and
we've-
tell us about that because that sounds fun.
So we've been doing that event since, we're doing the 90s this year. So
A
what we
90s
did was we
theme?
started out with the 20s theme.
Right.
We did the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Last year was the 80s, and those people went wild.
That is
Yes.
because that's the
the
most
80s
fun.
was a wild crowd.
Yep.
Yes.
And this year we're doing the 90s.
Okay, so this is more of the grunge kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's
So,
that period. yeah.
I really don't know a whole lot
Not
about
as
the
fun as
90s
the
at my
80s,
age.
I'm
The
sorry.
80s was a blast.
Yeah. Well, you
Okay.
never know. You never. I mean,
The
I'm a child of the
dress,
80s.
But
though.
but like everything was just so extreme in the 80s, like from the hair to the makeup.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
every decade has that, but
It was very-
the 80s is so easy to dress because
Oh,
you
you
can
could-
still find this
It was
stuff.
definitely
yeah.
very theater-esque, wasn't
Theater.
it?
Oh, yeah. It was like all about big hair and pink eyes.
Yes.
Pink eyes and blue mascara. Remember the blue mascara?
Oh yeah, I had it.
And you got to
wore
do it on the top and the bottom so that you
I
can
had
like
it, wore
really
it, huh?
pop.
I just
Right
want to say,
there.
for the record, I had a fabulous mullet that I wore
Yes,
way
you
into
did.
the 90s. Thank you.
I could. I'm trying to picture it. I think I can kind of picture that.
Oh,
the mullet.
it's so bad.
Look, the mullet is coming back, and
It
I hate to
is.
say that. I'm not happy about it, but it
is.
really is.
It is.
People are
So
sporting it.
so that event is basically a street party. We started out outside. We have local restaurants that are donating food because it's 100% charity event. So
Yeah.
this year we have Carrabba's, we have PDQ, we have a new vegan restaurant in the area called
nice.
Dixie Dharma. And they're going to be there. We have Duffy's. Some of the places are
Wow.
like by the mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them are local in town. We have Chianti's doing meatballs, and we have Christo's doing desserts. So there's
Wow.
going to be about 7 or 8 restaurants there. That's all done outside. And that party goes on from 5:30 to 7.
Like food tent kind of.
It's yes.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, and
So-
it's also going to be done with we blocked off the entire street this year so that we could space the tables out.
yes.
We do require people to wear masks as well.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's all going to be going on. We have somebody that's coming in. We have a bunch of kids that we recruited that will be bussing tables, so
AKA
no one has to
volunteer,
Well, they're all-
volunteer hours for college, right?
They're all everybody's a volunteer.
Yes.
Well, how did
So they do an outside show, which is like there'll be a song from Sister Act, there'll be a song from Frozen Jr. From the shows we have coming up.
So like street theater.
It's
like,
right, and we do
nice.
that like every 20 minutes. They'll put on a show outside, but it's mainly for people to eat, and we have a silent auction, so we
We
want
love
them to see
those.
that,
Yeah.
and then we bring them inside for 90s music. We have we hire a band. There's a band there, and the band
Like
will
a
be
cover
doing.
band or something. And
Yep,
be doing
and they'll be
nice-
doing 90s music. So the event goes from 5:30 to 9:30, from 7:15 until 9:30. They're inside.
Very cool.
And we've been doing this since the 20s. I don't know what we're doing next year, but I know
Start
in
over, maybe?
2023 we're probably going to be doing Dancing Through the Decades.
Okay.
That's
and let
cool.
people, what's your favorite era? We'll dress like that. I mean, because I can tell you there was a couple of eras that were really difficult because it was like what time? Wartime, the 40s. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
but people
You gotta
like
be really
people
creative,
like the
yeah.
20s. They liked wearing their
The
furs. and
Roaring
their-
20s.
I was going to say that
yeah.
the 20s and 30s would have been really fun for me.
Oh,
to go
yeah.
to,
Yeah.
you
The
know?
80s, of course. Well, I could take disco, like 70s or 80s.
Oh
That
yeah,
would
me.
be
I was a
very
disco
cool.
queen girl too.
Yeah.
So
Even 60s with like the hippie kind of look.
yeah,
I
that was
like
kind of
too.
fun too.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what I liked about the 20s and 30s is everybody dressed nice all the time. No
Oh,
matter
yeah.
what you were doing,
Yes.
everybody
Oh, yeah.
dressed nice. So
we all wore our furs for that. We all had like little mink stoles on. It was really
yeah.
kind of funny.
Is the 20s with like the flapper dresses, like the
Yes.
fringy dresses,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's fun.
So how do people get tickets to this event?
All they have to do is call the theater. They can
Okay.
call the theater. They can go. The website is wdpac.com. However, you're going to find a couple of error messages on there right now because we just switched our ticketing system over.
Okay.
So when you go on there, it'll open up and it'll say, "Please call the theater if you get an error message," and it'll
So it's doing that. So just
it's-
call the theater.
It's automatically doing that. And the phone number at the theater, if I can read it properly.
Yep. And I'll put the phone number in the show notes too. So if you're listening on your podcast player, you can just scroll down, click it, and call.
It's 407-321-8111.
You got it.
So
That sounds really fun.
And again, there's the Ritz sign right there. So.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. And even the new Wayne Densch sign is all lit up
Well,
with
that's all been redone too.
It has.
That's all been fixed.
Yeah, because it used to just be a regular sign,
Yes.
and that's all been illuminated
Well,
now to look like that old
It
style.
required a lot of repair. So this is why we do fundraisers, because we have capital improvements that need to be done. I mean, we
course.
had to put a roof on there. And granted, we do get supported by Wayne Densch Foundation. That's
Yeah.
the reason why they have naming rights. I'm going to give you a little
Yeah.
bit
Sure.
of history that
We
you might
like
not
that.
know.
We'd love to know that. Yeah.
Okay, so originally the theater was only this one building right here, which is
Right.
which
Okay.
is the one building where the theater is housed. They used to do the tickets out of that same building.
Yeah.
Wayne Densch Foundation purchased the building next door.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And basically gave it to the theater.
So for like office space,
it
for
is
the
office
actors
space.
to get
Ticket
ready.
sales.
There's also a room in there, the annex, which we rent out regularly.
So that's an income that you can get all year long.
Correct.
That's
and that,
amazing.
That will probably 200 people could fit in that room.
So for
seated.
conferences, parties, whatever it is,
we've done
weddings,
bridal showers, rehearsal dinners,
Oh.
baby showers, birthday parties. I mean, we've
done it
things
all,
going
probably.
on there all the time.
Wow.
Okay, and that's just another addition to the income to help
Yes.
build the theater. And again, this theater has had its ups and downs, but
Yeah.
right now we have to be in a really good position. I think it's because we do have a working board. Mm-hmm. We're all volunteers and we all know how to do lots of things. I produced shows.
So we were going to ask you
was
about
gonna-
your role.
yeah. Like,
go.
wait. Let's get this right. Let's talk about your roles at the theater because it's a working board. You probably have an area of expertise, which we've already kind of found out was fundraising. But we were talking earlier, and you said you've pretty much done every position there. So let's chat about that a little bit.
Well, I'm one of those people that has to be completely involved. I'm either all in or I'm not in.
Oh,
sound like
that is
Daniel
so
Fox.
mean.
That's my personality. So I had to learn how to, like, for instance, I'm one of the few board members that knows how to run a ticket at the theater. Most of the board members, they don't come to the theater and sell tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know how to do that.
But
and-
it's important to have more than one person that knows how to do that in case something happens.
Well, there's
Yeah.
right?
two
Your
board
backup.
members, the treasurer who has helped put us on the path to being very solvent. Our treasurer is fabulous.
Wonderful.
He is retired from Lucent Technologies.
Wow.
So
okay.
we have several retired people on our board, which is great because they have a lot more time to devote.
Yeah, of course.
Steve is actually there kind of all the time. He's,
Yeah.
he's like
He's the face of the theater. You probably know
he's there
gonna
all
be
the time,
there.
and he's he's a great treasurer. He's made us. I think he's put us in the position that we're in today because we
Nice.
don't listen. Several theaters, unfortunately, have had to close their doors.
Yeah, especially
due
now.
to
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah, probably.
Probably because they're too small to do social distancing. There's a couple of them that will never. They can't recover.
You can't put people in there if you're, you
Yeah.
can't have 10
Well,
people.
they couldn't pay their rent because if you only seat
yeah.
50 people, how are you going to spread them out?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's very sad. A lot
Sure.
of those theaters.
Oh, yeah.
But for us, it's meant that we've gotten some talent from some other theaters, which is really
Oh,
good.
probably, and audience from other theaters, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because people still want to go out, they just want to feel safe.
Sure.
So,
Of course.
and it's been a mission. We have now a new volunteer role is called the wellness director. It's the person who
Okay.
takes temperature and reminds people that they need to keep their masks on. And the guy wears
sanitize.
gloves when he does it. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
very,
It's following through.
so
love it.
having to have added that position into our volunteer base. I mean, our volunteers go through an orientation period. They can become alcohol certified because we do sell alcohol at the theater.
Yeah,
we
which
have
is a great
We have a
revenue.
concession stand with a full bar. And the drinks are $6.
Can you take your drinks to your seat?
You can.
That's amazing.
And popcorn. We have a popcorn machine. I mean, you
love
can't
it.
go to a theater without having
Heck
popcorn.
no. Of
course,
Do you have
that's-
the old Coke bottles? Like,
No.
No?
We
That
do
would be really
cans.
cool.
It's easier.
Plus,
Try
you'd
not to mess with glass.
Oh,
have
this is
broken
true,
glass
'cause
all
if
over the
it's-
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and our all the ushers are all volunteers. The people who work concessions are volunteers. Now the board members know how to do all this stuff, and board members will also volunteer. So
Yeah.
we don't just go to a meeting once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's a
Everyone-
lot involved. in it.
Everyone on the board sits on at least one committee, if not. I mean, I'm on 4. So
Oh, wow.
some people are on 2, some are on 3, some are on 4, some are on every committee. I mean, it's just the way it is.
They just love
When I
it,
say
yeah.
a working board, we went in there and painted last year.
So you guys
Okay.
are doing everything.
We do a cleanup day every year. So we are truly a working board.
Well, of course, and also to maintain it. This isn't something.
It's a big building.
It's an everyday thing. It's something got to be
Yes.
cleaned, or oh, look, there's a crack there. And the other thing is with fundraising. Fundraising just can't be a once a year thing
Oh,
that you
no.
do. You're constantly making contacts.
Yeah.
You're constantly getting donors or, somebody that you might think would be a good fit as far as, oh, let's get them in there and,
Right.
good contact. So that is, and you're good with chatting with people,
We
like
had-
you said. So
we had several people that we were we're talking to about becoming like major donors, and then COVID hit, so I kind of laid off all that, and I'm not really going to do that right at this moment.
Because they're maybe struggling.
But I
too.
have a list, and those people I know will listen. I'm all about a win-win. If I see a benefit to them, I can find a way to make that fit in, and where their money is going to go to something good. Like for instance, it's going to be installed, I think, next week. We just put in the hearing aid, the hearing device system is going into the theater. It was sponsored.
Oh.
It was sponsored by Orlando Health.
Oh my goodness.
So they're actually, their name will be posted and they'll be in programs, and I'm excited because I wear hearing aids, so I'm excited about having listening devices in the theater.
Yeah.
So how does that work? So if you have a hearing aid, it's like a microphone just for the hearing aids that amplifies?
It will probably Bluetooth with your hearing aid, or if you have a hearing issue, you can put a device around your neck.
Makes
and
it
that
louder.
device will boost up the sound.
Oh, I love that.
That is real because you're sitting there enjoying the show, but you're not hearing everything going on, or it's in and out.
And I mean, and actors they're wearing microphones, but that doesn't mean anything.
If you have a hearing problem, sure.
Well, if you're like me and you've been reading lips for years, if you can't see, there a lot of them are of our actors, our performers are wearing masks on stage.
Yeah, so you can't see their lips.
So if there's a big cast, like Spam-A-Lot, it was about 50-50. 50% of the cast had a mask on through the entire show.
Yeah.
So, if you can't read their lips, guess what?
You can't tell what they're saying. So, but I want to go back real quick. So you said you've been a producer as well?
So the producer's job is primarily to help raise funds to pay for the show. So yes, I've done that job, but you also act as a liaison between the board and the cast.
Yes.
So that the cast knows that there's a board. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they don't really know where things come from. They know there's a director, and might be an assistant director. There's tech people. There's stage managers. But when there's a producer, the producer's helping them like put together cast shirts, puts together the cast party, helps make sure that they get their comp tickets.
Yeah.
If we don't pay them, we give them 2 comp tickets when they're in a show.
Oh, I see.
So,
Okay, so you're like in charge of the organization of everything, basically.
It's really just kind of being a go-between, so the director doesn't have to deal with some nonsense because it might go to the producer instead. So I took on that role I think I've done about 6 or 7 shows now.
So as a producer, I know what the producer is like in a Hollywood movie. As a producer in a play like this, you're in charge of also finding out how you're going to get funding for the show itself?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's one of my things. Go after some money so that, if we want to have really high-priced costumes like we did for Spam-A-Lot, we need to try to get it paid for.
Yeah.
So you have to work with the director very closely, too, because they have to know, it's the same thing with a movie. This is what your budget's going to be, so don't go crazy. Or you can go crazy, or you can be fancy.
I mean, we have the same budget pretty much for most of our shows.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, and of course it'll depend on whether or not we have a live orchestra. If we're doing a musical, we are one of the few theaters that has a live orchestra.
Oh, that's amazing!
Oh, so why haven't we gone here?
The front part of our theater, the stage comes off, and that's the orchestra pit. It's actually on the stage. It's the first 4 feet of the stage is an orchestra pit, and when it's not a musical or when there's a tribute band there, because we also do a lot of tribute bands there.
Yeah.
I mean, next week we have Fats Domino, and we have Buddy Holly, and we have Elvis. And
I saw that.
I saw that on the website.
The Elvis guy, his name is Ted Torres.
This guy like Elvis, dude.
He is amazing. He's like number 4 in the country for Elvis impersonators. He's really, really good. And I've seen Fats Domino. I've seen them before.
Yeah.
So they're excellent tribute. But last week we did a show that was Diana Ross. Oh my God.
Wow.
She was amazing.
That is so cool. So people can take this talent and, bring it to an audience.
What it does, especially when it's tribute bands from the era that that all the songs to.
Oh, yeah.
People come in there, they're sitting in their seats. They start out sitting in their seats. Within a few minutes, they're up dancing, they're
everybody's
singing.
dancing.
Oh, of course.
I
So
mean,
fun.
People love tribute bands.
Yeah.
It takes you back to that
It
time
does.
of probably your teen years when, that music was popular, and it just reminds you of what was going on at that crazy time.
And a
in your
lot of
life.
them, a lot of the bands we bring in are local. We work with a lot of local bands, but like that band came from, I think, South Florida. So we're doing a Frank Sinatra tribute. We do a lot of tributes. Tributes are a one-night show that bring in, a decent amount of money and people have fun.
Yeah.
And it introduces the theater to a different crowd of people, just like the movies does.
Yeah.
So
And they may come back
if
for
you have people that are coming there to enjoy a tribute and you say, well, if you like the theater, you should come back and see Sister Act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you get one or two new people.
That's right. And if you had fun at that, you're probably going to have fun at that.
Right.
So let's talk about that. I'm always curious how you decide, or who decides, I'm assuming it's the board, what shows, what plays, what musicals you're going to have. And how do you go about making that decision?
So we have a programming committee.
Okay.
And, production is their thing, but they poll the board. They do surveys with the audience. We have a group of people that are not even on our board that are volunteering to take on the survey job, and they've been doing it since last year. So we survey people and we ask them what they like.
So you just stop people in the street and just
Now,
say,
are you
hey.
asking them what titles they want to see,
Yeah.
or what style of play, or all the above?
We can be as specific. It depends. We ask them
cool.
specifically. I've done polls on Facebook and asked them what's the top 3 shows you'd like to see, and then again, it also is based on whether or not it's in the budget. Because if you try to bring in some show, I don't know if you know anything about rights to a show.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Just from the other
it could be
community
like
theater.
$13,000 for the rights to a show.
Oh,
so
yeah.
before you open the doors, you have to think about your budget. And if you're spending that much money on the rights, then you've got costumes and you got a band to pay, because the band does get paid.
Sure.
You got a set to build. There's a lot of expenses you have to
there
pay.
is.
And those shows that you get rights to, I mean, that's basically the screenplay as well as descriptions of the sets and things like that for each scene, right?
Yeah. You get everything comes in the package, but you're not getting a set. You have to build a set.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, when we did Mamma Mia, we rented a set.
Yeah.
And it was very, very pricey.
But these are always known shows. There's not like some anomalous.
No. Not in our theater. We try to do shows that we know that people are going to know.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Do you, because you said that you have like the indie short films. Do you
That's
ever
different.
work with any
We have
local
not
screenwriters or
We
anything
we
like
have
that?
not. There are several theaters that do that because they're smaller. They don't have to try to fill as many seats.
Sure.
Okay, gotcha.
And there's a theater in Eustis that has done that. There's several that have been
is that
gone
the Ice
from.
House Theater?
That is Bay Street.
Oh, Bay Street.
Ice House is Mount Dora.
Oh, okay. Bay Street is where Emma was in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
And here's the thing: community theaters are a breed of their own.
Oh, yeah.
each one is different.
So we also have a group called the Community Theater Alliance. It's primarily us and most of the theaters in Volusia County.
Okay.
Because we're really over the bridge. There's like 5 or 6 theaters over there.
Oh, okay.
There's Daytona, there's Little Theater in Lake Helen,
And
there's
then
Shoestring Theater, there's New Smyrna Theater, there's, some of them are the same. One of them is Athens is close to the same size as us, but a lot of them are a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of local stuff, but we share sets, we share actors, we share costumes.
I wanted to know about that because like I have an old district manager who was very involved in like her daughter's theater at school. And I remember one of the things was they were always making these costumes that were like immaculate, like, professional seamstress that they knew and the sets that they were making. And this was just high school musicals, and it was amazing looking.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find out, like, who do you have that you turn to for those costume designs or rentals or the set designs? You have to have very creative people on your team to be doing this.
We've been very lucky with a lot of again, volunteers
A
have
friend of
come
mine
on
actually
board.
does this. She makes those fancy costumes for plays and
Oh,
theaters.
that is
Really?
cool.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Shelley Henriette.
Well, see, connections.
I don't know her.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that there is a really good local costume shop now called Penguin Point.
Oh.
It's in Oviedo. It's in the mall.
Write that down because that
Halloween.
is a Halloween place.
Oh, and guess what? They actually, they built our show for Spamalot. So that
Cool.
means that they have part of the costumes, and they brought in seamstresses to build the rest of the costumes. And they now would be the place, if any other theater is doing Spamalot, that's where you want to go.
Because they have the costumes.
Well, Spamalot has 150 costumes.
yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of costumes in
Wow.
there.
Yeah.
They actually did a costume for Lady of the Lake. I don't know if you're familiar with that show where it's a convertible dress. She's in a purple dress, and it becomes a wedding gown.
Oh,
She flips it over, and it becomes a wedding gown.
neat.
That is
And
neat.
it took the girl who made it 72 hours to make it.
Oh my God.
This is all
So-
volunteer time, people.
Well, no,
So-
for her,
oh,
no,
does she
she's
get
paid.
Okay.
Penguin Point rents their costumes.
Okay.
They also do shows. They're in the Oviedo Mall. It's run by a guy named James Bredlinger, who's very well known in the community, in the theater community, and he's got an amazing costume shop in there that has, that's where we used to bring our stuff when we were cleaning out our costumes. And we rent from them.
Yeah.
When we need costumes. Now, we also have borrowed from other theaters. We're borrowing some costumes from Sister Act from Bay Street. So
Okay.
there's a lot of camaraderie amongst
That's
community
wonderful.
theaters.
That's
Yeah.
through the Alliance.
The Community Theater Alliance.
Yes.
Yes.
And even just like I happened to go see a show at Bay Street, and they said, "Oh, you're doing Sister Act? We have those costumes." I was like, "Okay."
Okay. Wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome.
So people in theater tend to be like that. They tend to
Yeah.
be extremely generous. They,
Yeah.
Helpful.
we support all community. I've gone to shows in almost every theater in town, so I'm aware.
See,
Yeah.
we learned that when we were working with Mimi's, which is a small community theater. It used to be in Mount Verde. I don't know if it's still there, but it's almost like a culture of theater
Yeah.
people that
It
want to
is.
help each other in any way they can. I love that
really
about it.
is.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of a great connection for you for like theater makeup. We go to this place called Embellish FX.
Oh, I know.
You know them.
I know him.
I bet
Oh,
you.
do you?
I love him.
Oh, so cool.
I love Jonathan. Yes,
Yeah.
I've been friends with them for a while.
Okay, good. Yeah, they are amazing
Oh,
down
yeah.
there. I'm like, why didn't we discover them so many
Yeah.
years
He used to
ago?
have a costumer in there too, but I think he's gone. The guy has gone and opened up his own place. A guy named Dell, and
Oh,
he
okay.
was wow. This guy was fabulous. The costumes that he made.
Yeah,
'Cause,
we've
you
had
know,
them on the
he's-
show before. That was
Embellish
great.
has done. He's done stuff for, like, I know some of these wealthy people with their parties. Like they did this whole like Mad Hatter thing one year,
cool.
and I saw some of the costumes. I was like, oh my god, look at those things.
It's like out of the movie or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
They're just. We went there for some Halloween makeup, and I mean, they just take the time to just sit there and explain how
Try
to
this
apply
on.
it, and
Don't
they'll.
use this. Don't use that.
It has upped our game a lot.
Yeah.
We did a show several years ago called The Mystery of Edwin Drood. And it's not a very well-known show, but it was really a lot of fun. It has 6 different endings, and it's like, it's a very strange show. But we decided that we were going to go with the steampunk kind of basis
Yeah.
background. So we offered people discounts on tickets if they came dressed steampunk. So as the producer, that was one of the first shows I produced. I said, oh crap, now I have to do.
You have to do
You
it.
have to do it.
So I went to Embellish, and they got me all set up. I bought all
It
kinds of
is
stuff
really
from there.
cool.
Yeah.
Like steampunk is a really cool look.
It is.
They have like festivals for steampunk.
Oh,
We'll
I
have to
know.
we're going to have to do that one year
Yeah.
with all the
Yes.
weird
It's
gears and gizmos.
Steampunk's fun.
It is. It's very
and
cool.
It is just really creative.
You know what it is to me? It reminds me of that sort of. Oh, I wish I could think of the author, but it's the. Is it George Orwell? It's the to the moon and back, or is he the one that wrote that? Anyway, it's
I don't
that
know.
whole. It's that whole.
You're
style.
the writer. You
Yeah,
should know.
he
I
should
know.
know.
It's that style that is like Jules Verne. That's another
It's
one.
like-
yeah, okay.
It's
to
the
me,
style
it's
that's futuristic and yet
past.
old looking at
Right.
the
That's
same
right.
time.
I
you know?
love
Right.
it. Yes.
Yeah, I was like all about the
It's
gears.
like this dystopia look, kind
Yeah.
of like
I
in the
was
future, but
thinner. I
past.
wore a corset.
But did you
I
have the
wouldn't-
gears and all that kind of stuff?
I
on
did.
there?
I
Yeah,
put
love that.
gear earrings and the goggles I had on,
them
and
cool
the little
top hat looking
hat and the little
thing.
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
I mean,
it was fun.
It
was
really
fun.
cool.
Let's talk about the process of acting in one of these shows. Do you guys do like open tryouts?
Open live auditions.
Open
Oh,
live.
that is so cool. So it's like trying out
And
for
how
a
many
movie.
people are sitting in the audience for a live tryout? Does it vary?
It varies. I mean, we've never had more than maybe 35 people at one time there, but everybody's able to watch everybody else's audition. There's a reason for that, because if somebody gets cast and, somebody else thinks they were better, actors are like that.
Yeah.
But if they're sitting there saying, well, they were better than me,
Yeah, they could see it.
They saw it.
or,
Yeah.
well, they can definitely dance better than me, because
Yeah.
they're doing the audition is singing, acting, and dancing. It's usually, if it's a musical, they
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah.
able to do all three.
Of course.
I mean, there's very rarely a musical with no dancing.
Yeah.
I mean, you always have to dance.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we have the choreographer will be there, the music director will be there, and the director will be there. And as the producer, I'm generally there because I like to just know everything.
Yeah.
So we sign them in. They're spaced out. They bring, they either bring a CD or we have a piano there. But generally, we do it with a track. It's easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they choose their own 2 songs.
Okay.
And then they're called back. And again, it's pretty open and fair. I mean, we don't we don't precast people in a show. If we don't have enough people, we will call people that we know.
Yeah.
That
Who makes the final decision?
the
Is it
director.
the audience or the
The
director?
director.
Okay. But does the audience, like, is it by applause? Is it, do you
No,
think
there's
the
no
directors-
audience there. It's just
okay.
It's just other auditioners.
The other actors.
Oh, it's the other.
Just the other actors.
That's why
Believe me,
it's
they're
considered live. Okay, I got you.
It's open, an open audition.
The pressure's on, baby, though,
Yeah.
because you're watching your competition up there,
Yeah.
and if somebody else, if you thought you did really good, and then somebody else goes up, and you're like,
That's what she's
and
saying.
then
Yeah.
and
have
then
to
you
admit they
and then
did
you
better,
have to
yeah.
realize that the minimum amount of hours that an actor is volunteering is 140 hours.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of hours.
That is a lot of hours.
So they've got to,
Yeah.
be able to work around their work schedule. I know some of the shows they're rehearsing Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, 4
Yeah.
days a week.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay,
rehearsals.
and they come from 7. They're there. They could be there till 10.
Yeah.
They don't know, and usually almost the entire cast comes for almost every rehearsal. I mean, they
Yeah.
might just have the principals for one of the rehearsals,
Yeah.
but generally they're all there because they all have something to do.
Yeah. Plus, I
that's
think you're more
amazing.
tuned into the whole thing, and it doesn't surprise. This to me very much is everything I've learned about reading about movies and stuff. The director, the whole thing's his baby or her baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to pick the cast. They're going to be the one that's turning all the screws and knobs throughout the whole
Yeah.
thing to get it
Oh,
just
yeah.
how they
And
want.
ultimately, it's the director and those people on stage that people are judging the whole thing on.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you that the shows that I've produced, it's the director has sat down with the choreographer, with the musical director. They've sat there and they've gone over numbers and this one did great here, not such a great dancer, but it's something I could work with. That this is the way they communicate,
Yeah.
and within usually 2 audition days they usually have, and then they'll do a callback day if there was somebody that was iffy,
Yeah.
or if they're trying to see does this person look good with this person. Well, like for instance, we did Mamma Mia right before COVID. You couldn't have a 30-year-old Donna
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a 20-year-old Sophie.
Of course.
Okay.
Right.
So you really kind of had to make sure
Fit the
you were
part,
in the
yeah.
right category age-wise.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
right.
Donna, she's got a 20-year-old daughter, so she
Yeah.
had to be at least look sort of like she was
Yeah.
50.
Or you had to
Okay.
be able to do it with makeup. Yeah. And
Then you had to have her two. The Rosie and the Tanya had to be around the same age. You can't put a 20-year-old Tanya with a 40-year-old Donna.
Sure.
Exactly.
So a lot of that is the director like putting people next to each other and saying, well, I don't really want to short Sam if Donna's going to be,
Yeah.
So once they cast a major role and they're sure of who that person is, that's going to affect who some of the major
Correct.
roles are. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
yeah.
how they do it for movies.
Oh, yeah, it's the same way.
Yeah.
I mean,
so let's talk about some of the other programs that the theater offers, because I think I saw that they have a camp there.
we do a summer. We have 2 summer camps. We do a summer
Cool.
camp for younger kids.
Yeah, I love that.
Which is basically them learning. They're actually learning how to audition, and they put on a little show. It's only a 1-week camp. They put on it's basically just it's a show of them singing and dancing,
Yeah.
and
I
they
love
do it
that.
within a week.
Yeah.
It's all done in a week.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, how often is it that you have somebody just show up in an audition that really hasn't done anything and make the cast?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, let me ask you a
Because
question.
there is that talent out there, but how often does
Do
it
you
happen?
really think that actors are born? Or do you think that they're made? And how do they know that they're actors if they never get
Exactly.
the opportunity to act? How do you know
Yeah.
that your kid is going to be good at tennis if you don't give him lessons and let him
Yeah.
see if he's good at it? So
Exactly.
it's the same concept. Let's go. Like I brought my kids to the theater, and the kid I wanted to do it, he said, "I'm not doing that." But however, now he's in 3 bands, and he's the lead singer. Because guess what? He's the lead singer.
Yeah.
Okay, he's the boss. He's
the boss.
and and the one that does the acting is the one that I thought was too bossy to do acting.
Yeah.
It's so
I
weird.
thought he would do more directing, but no, he's his teacher. So
Yeah.
he's got those kids to boss around, but on the stage he listens to his director. So
Yeah.
you don't really know if they're not exposed. So if you expose your children to this, you don't know. I can tell you one thing. One of the reasons why I'm so involved and into the theater is theater creates passion.
Yes.
I love that.
If you play baseball, okay, you're going to play baseball in, a kids league, a t-ball or something like that.
Yeah.
Your passion's going to end when baseball ends.
Yeah. at the
If
end of
you're
this-
an
yeah.
actor, if you're in theater, if you sing, if you're involved in the arts, you're taking that with you your entire life.
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes to everything that you do in your life.
Yes.
And that passion is very hard to instill in somebody, but the theater can instill it in you. I have stories of kids that I can have you guys crying. I
Well,
have kids,
try not to do
I have
that.
children. I have kids that were cutting themselves, kids that were being bullied,
Yeah.
kids that we have all those sad stories.
Getting at
so
their heart,
if
you know?
you get a kid that has had issues in school and is being bullied in school, and he gets the lead in the show, guess what happened to his
That
popularity?
and that confidence goes
And then he's
up.
got all his friends coming to see the show and people saying, wow, you're Aladdin at Wayne Densch Theater?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you get up in front of people and do that, because my youngest son was bullied, but he was not afraid to get up on stage and do a little dance routine. Or
It's community,
he
too,
really
though.
was not. Yeah.
You find out where you belong. I mean, and that's part of the problem with those scenarios is people don't really belong,
Right.
As a kid that was never into sports at all, that it's great that people are, but a big piece of society as you're growing up is consumed by that. So if you're outside of that, you have to find the other thing.
Right.
And I noticed that just when the short time my daughter was going to that other community theater, meeting the people, the actors.
Oh.
They're
There's a
also
camaraderie built that's
really-
amazing.
They are so welcoming and want to
Yeah.
help, and everybody's so friendly. You did such a great job, and it's just I loved that aspect of it. So hearing
Yeah.
that you have, I'm sure it would make me cry, but
Yeah.
hearing that you're finding anything about kids makes me cry, but that you're finding kids that were so troubled that have sort of found their way. And one of the things you asked a minute ago that's a fascinating question to me is, are actors born or are they created? And I think the answer can be both, because I think sometimes you just know someone is born to act. Now, are they as good as they're going to be with more practice and encouragement and, doing different shows? No.
But if you don't expose them to that, you'll never know if
That's right.
Yeah, because you can have
you don't know what's in somebody's heart until you
Yes.
expose them to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have the little 2-year-old that starts putting on little plays and stuff. But if you don't take her and let her experience
Yes.
it. She's just going to do it in your living room at home. But what could she have became?
I can
if you
tell you
exposed
that
her?
my son Christopher used to do shows with the whole family, and he used to set up the chairs, and he used to do things like the wheels on the bus.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he would direct everybody else in the family where they had to sit. That's why I never thought he would want to be the actor. I always
Yeah.
thought he'd want to be the director. But
Yeah. Well,
no,
you
he
never
wants
know.
to be on the stage.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, but yes, I had that in my, like I knew that, but I thought it was just a kiddie thing.
Sure.
I had no idea that at 35 years old he'd still be doing this.
Yeah, I love that,
That
though.
is
So,
really cool.
I mean, how many famous actors do you see where the footage comes out of them, like you said, when they're little, setting up the living room?
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's some famous actor.
Yeah.
So it's like there. Some people are just wired to want to go that way, and some people, and you probably know this more than anyone, don't necessarily know that they
don't
want to
know.
do that
Until they
they're
do.
exposed to it. Yeah.
That's right.
So
they
what
don't
about,
know.
So what about you? You're behind the scenes, but what roles have you played, or is there anything
Well,
that
I
you
mean-
would like to do?
Well, I mean, I think I've kind of done pretty much all that I've done. I never really liked the limelight. I never really wanted to be on the stage, but I was in, HMS Pinafore when I was a kid. I was in Oklahoma when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And when they offered me a role, I was like, can I just be in the ensemble? Like I'm
You didn't
more
wanna be
one of
front and
those.
center,
I want to
yeah.
just be like hanging out with all the sisters and cousins and aunts. I don't want to be like one of the primary roles. I'm not, I mean,
You want to be one that has something to say, but there's a group saying it with you. So
Right.
if something happens, okay.
I was a tree in the Wizard of Oz in my elementary
yeah, but see,
school.
that's good. That's a good role.
Yeah, that's a good role. That's the role she would have took.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a lot more. I was involved with chorus when I was a kid, and I
Okay.
the first time I had to do a solo, I was making myself sick. I'm like, okay, this is not working for me.
Yeah.
But I did it, and I said, I don't really want to do that again.
Yeah, I hear you.
So-
Just don't raise your hand
Just
for that.
For
Yeah.
clarity here, when I say a tree, I don't mean one of the talking spooky trees. I mean just
Just a
holding a
tree.
tree.
Right.
It was like a scene where
figured.
they just walked through the trees. I just stood there.
That's not a bad role, though. You're still part of the show. It's
That's
okay.
right. True.
Yeah.
But, again, everybody needs to, people should really do what they like to do
Yes.
as opposed to trying to force themselves to do something they don't like.
Or to
If
fit
people
in,
would just do that,
Yes.
it'd be
might
so
find-
much easier.
Yeah.
There's a fear in that, I think, when you're young sometimes of embracing what, or even trying to find out what it is that you really like. And that's one of the things I love about theater is if you even have the slightest inkling that you might like it, the community will embrace you.
Right. Well, my son Christopher, he was sort of on the shy side. So when he said he wanted to do theater, I was like, what?
Right.
And he played, I think he played Nicely in Guys and Dolls Jr. And I'm like thinking, he's going to have a solo. They're wearing suits and hats, and the suits were all big on them. Of course, they were kids.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was hilarious though.
Yeah.
And he just
Shined.
going and going and going. He wound up involved with a group called Orlando Youth Theater, which was a paid-based
Orlando Youth
organization.
I think Ben from Embellish is involved with them.
No,
that's
they're
the
not around.
chorus.
They're not.
They're not.
Not around anymore.
Okay.
The Orlando Youth Theater was run by a guy named Tim Haynes, and now he actually has an organization called the Downtowners, and they're seniors, and it's a singing organization.
That is cool. We
Oh,
should
that
write
is
that
cool.
down. Yeah.
I mean,
the
I'm
Downtowners.
connected to a lot of these people
Yeah.
because part of it is because my son was involved with that. So
Yeah.
you kind of get you get to know some of these people, and some of the people that were in Orlando Youth Theater. Mandy Moore is from Orlando Youth Theater.
Yes, I knew that. Mandy
Okay?
Moore. Yep.
And she is from Orlando, and she
Yep.
was a member of Orlando Youth Theater right before my son got involved. He was like 13, so she's a little bit older
Yeah.
than that. So she aged out at 18. But when she's in town for anything, she invites Tim Haynes to everything because that's where she started.
That's
She got her start. That's great.
Yes, and he's local. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Does a lot with the community, and he works with the church. And I've been involved with several nonprofits. I was involved with the Steinway Society, and they give pianos to kids.
That is amazing.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
What's that called? The Steinway?
Steinway Society.
Steinway Society.
I can hook you up with those people. They're
Yeah, we love to have nonprofits.
They do an amazing job. They teach free lessons in the school to kids.
That is wonderful.
No, that is wonderful.
Because unfortunately, music is one of the things that's cut.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those extracurriculars that could be what that child needs to succeed in their academics in
I
school.
know. I'm one of these people that think there's at least as much value in that as there is in sports. But, you know.
Well,
Of course
I mean,
there is.
again, the passion for sports disappears when the sport disappears.
Yeah.
That's
but
right.
the passion for the arts never goes away.
Right.
Stays
Yeah.
with them. You can carry it all the way through adulthood. There's people that I know that were, that started painting, that are still painting, and they're in their 80s,
Yeah.
and they're still
Yeah.
painting. So they still have that passion.
Yeah.
If you're not playing football if you're in your 80s, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to
not
find
happening.
find another passion.
Even certain parts, there's older people that are needed on the stage.
Oh,
So this is something
absolutely.
that, it's not like you're just going to, take certain ages and let's just put some prosthetics on you. And
Oh, no.
That's not how this works.
Yeah.
It's all ages are included,
Right.
Yep.
which I love.
I do too.
Yeah. This has been very informative. And guess where we're going to be going? I'm like, why haven't we been there?
I don't
That's
get
what
why
you
we
said,
haven't
too.
been either. This sounds
Because
like an
we
amazing
do-
theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But this is
You only
the-
have to go once.
But this is what we tell people. There's things in our own backyard that we just don't know about.
like
you know what I
Wekiva
mean?
Island.
Like Wekiva Island. We tell
well,
everybody,
we've talked about
have
that
you
one
been
too.
to Wekiva Island? Because it's right down the road and there's this fabulous little place and it's locally owned and it's smaller business, which yours is a larger theater, but it's still a small business.
Yeah.
And, something entertaining to do. So we, of course, will be heading people in your direction.
All right.
And we will be headed there too. But this has been amazing, Terry. Thank you so much
Well,
for joining us.
thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, this was very
Yes.
fascinating. Your story is very fascinating, and just the theater itself is very fascinating. We will definitely be going.
All right.
Yes.
And we hope we help
Hopefully
spread
for
the word.
Valentine's Day. I'm just saying there's
Oh,
something
she's-
going on. There's
Angie's,
a hint,
Angie's
hint,
doing a
hint.
wink, wink at me.
The wink, wink. But one more time, share with everybody the website. So if they're listening and they just want to check it out real fast, they can
They
find
can
you.
go to WayneDenchPerformingArtsCenter.com, which we shorten to WDPAC.
That was nice of you.
Yes. And again, I will put, if you're listening to this on your podcast player or even on our website, you can just scroll down and click. It'll be the first link below the show notes.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, we're going to take a short break and we will be right back to chat a bit more. Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 94 of the It's All Fine and Dandy podcast. We hope you enjoyed that interview with Terry. It's great to know that we have things like this right in our own backyard,
That was
isn't
fun.
it?
That was fun. Very educational. I always say that, but I really was educated. I didn't know anything about the theater.
No, we say this about every guest that we have on the show. We
Yep.
always learn something new.
We do. And I knew about the Wayne Dench Performing Arts Center, but I didn't know about like the movies they do there. And I
Yeah.
looked on the website since we spoke to Terry. And just for those of you listening, it's been a couple of days since we did the interview with Terry. We've had a weekend go by and stuff as we're now doing the wrap up. But that movies thing she talked about, they're playing like Raiders of the Lost Ark right
Yeah.
now. It's really cool. It's like they're playing a movie. The Love Your Shorts Film Festival thing is coming up.
Yeah.
The guy, Ted Torres, who does Elvis, looks just like Elvis.
And he sounds amazing too.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know. He sings for real, I think.
Oh, he does. Yeah, totally.
Because I always wonder, are these people just really that talented of lip singers? You
So
know,
I think
but,
some of them lip sync, but
yeah, but no, I think his is live.
yeah. The Downtowners, that
Yeah.
singing group, that was another one I knew nothing about, so it was cool to kind of look them up.
And I know I just love to learn that Sanford is growing the way it is. It's
Yep.
becoming a trendy kind of hot spot that brings more businesses in.
Yes.
So it's good for the economical situation of
Yeah.
the area, which it will bring more communities in. So, and more investors and stuff like that. So I just love to hear that that's happening right here in our own backyard.
I do too, and it makes me want to go to Sanford again soon.
I know. And we had a while ago planned on doing it when they used to do the street parties that you were telling me about it.
Yep.
But obviously, because of COVID, that has stopped for now. But we will definitely get down there and do that when it comes back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that when it comes back. And we also talked about maybe making a weekend of taking an Uber to the train station and then taking the train station to Sanford and kind of doing some shopping, hitting a bar, doing that kind of stuff. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that does sound really fun too. And guys, we are on the last leg of a little weekend getaway that we planned just for right here in our, like I keep saying, in our own backyard. We have these wonderful campgrounds. So we planned a little camping excursion right down the road at Wekiwa Springs State Park,
Yes,
which is literally a bike ride away for us.
It really is. You planned it, though. Don't give me credit for that.
Okay. Well, I planned it.
Yes.
And I figured, because I get off work at 4 o'clock on Friday and you get off work late, it'll be a quick place to go to be able to set our tent up by dark, which we did perfectly.
Yeah.
Wonderful first night.
Very
had
cool
our
place.
Fire going,
Yes.
roasted some hot dogs. Great night. And then
we didn't do well. Yeah. But before you get into that, we didn't even do they have kayaking and canoeing and swimming in the springs down there. Mm-hmm. They've got campgrounds for tents. They've got campgrounds for RVs and what do they call them? Motorhomes? Is that what they call them? So we saw all that out there. They have bike trails. They have hiking trails. We enjoyed all of that stuff while we were out there. But as Angie started to allude to, I'll let you take over then. I just wanted to mention some of the cool things out there because I think it was a great plan that you had. I think it's a great place. I think I want to go back. I haven't been since I was a kid. We saw deer. Angie's like the deer whisperer. We got really close to the deer. It was really cool.
We didn't see any bears, but we were hoping to.
They'd seen them in the area this week, though.
Yeah. So we had a great day. It did start getting a little misty rain on Saturday morning when we woke up. No biggie. Yep. Had a little, run in with our percolator. Is that what you said? Percolator.
Percolator.
Yeah. The coffee pot that you bring. We'd never used one before.
That's my fault. I was learning. I was learning how to use a percolator. And let me just tell you, if you have one for camping, as I learned from an old Marine on YouTube, you don't put that much coffee grinds in a little basket.
So we did have to leave the campground to go get some coffee. That's okay. Whatever.
Sure.
Takes the ambience away a little bit, but it's cool. But when we got back, I went to get in the tent after we sat and ate our breakfast, and it was raining inside our tent. Let's just put it that way. Now, something about the tent that Dan will tell you.
Yeah, so we considered buying a new tent before we left. We haven't camped in a while, but I have my trusty tent that I've had for 16 or 17 years. And I looked back through a lot of old photos of the kids. So we counted it back the other night to 14 years, but I know I had it for a few years and that I just didn't have in the pictures. Mm-hmm. So I know what you campers out there are going to say. Did you waterproof it? Well, consider that I've had it for at least 16 years and it's never leaked. So they come waterproof to some degree. And I know every season hardcore campers may say you re-waterproof it. I like the idea of buying a tent and not really having to spray that stuff on it after.
Also, we're not hardcore campers.
We're not hardcore campers. And so, I've never done that with a tent. And I know depending on the quality of the tent you get, sometimes it'll have an issue in a year, but think about how long that is.
Yeah.
16 years. And I've been through.
Issues.
We've camped one time with Girl Scouts where unexpectedly there was a storm that turned and came towards us. It was a tropical storm. Then it was a low-level hurricane. And we went ahead and camped.
Yeah.
And rain and wind. And finally we did leave that weekend because it was blowing all the tarps down. But the tent never leaked. Same tent. I've been through, horrible rainstorms. So
it finally gave out. So what we ended up doing is throwing the old trusty tent in the garbage.
Yes,
and we packed all the sopping wet stuff up, and we did come home. But we finished our little camping weekend at home. So everything that was on the list, we pretty much did. And we did get a bike ride out in the trails. We got soaking wet, but it was
fun.
worth it.
Those bike trails were cool because they go off-road. Yeah. They go out into the dirt, and you're going through the woods. And in some areas, it's like the woods are up high, and you can't see beyond the trail. And then it'll be like a big clearing of trees. It was really cool.
Yeah, but Wekiwa Springs State Park does have 9 miles of trails. So
it's amazing.
So you can hike, and we saw a lot of joggers out there.
Yeah.
But you do need to know the direction you're going in because you could get lost. I mean, I'm sure all the trails lead back to the main road.
Yep.
But still, just be aware, bring your map, whatever. But definitely check it out. It's super clean park.
It really is.
And you have the springs right there that if we were daring enough, we would have went swimming. because the water would have felt warm.
Yeah, and the cooler month, because if those of you not from Central Florida or don't know much about it, the springs are the same temperature all year.
Yes,
so
60, between 68 and 72 degrees, something
same range,
like that.
yeah. And so in the winter, it actually feels warmer because it's
steam
warmer
comes
than
off
the
it.
air. Yeah,
It's like a hot tub almost until you get out of the water.
Until you get out, yeah, exactly.
Because I was brave when I was younger as a teenager, jumping in the water and stuff, you know, in the winter. But yeah, it was fun. And then we came home and we continued our camping out on the porch. We did our reading out on the back porch. We had a little fire out there.
It was cool.
We're having our Bloody Marys this recording time.
Now, yeah, we're finally having those, but we planned on that.
That was on the list of things, and we still have to play Yahtzee.
We do, but I'm glad, this is the thing. I'm not going to say I've been doing this my whole life, and Angie's been a big influence on me for this, but things are going to happen, man. You're going to have your plans. Something's going to throw a loophole in it.
That's right.
And you just have to laugh. And now we have a great memory of just how funny it was that we opened the tent after we had a little snack, getting ready to make breakfast. I had the burner and the stove out. We had the little umbrellas set up over the stove. We're like, whatever, man, we're going to bike in the rain. She zips open the tent. And it would have been one thing to have like a little leaky spot, but it was literally all of our gear, our clothes, the bed, the pillows, the blankets. It was basically just, you might as well just had it not in a tent. So there was no way that we could keep camping. But even if we went and got a new tent, we thought, well, we got to go home and dry everything first. So, but you know what we did? We just laughed it off. Now we got a great memory of remember that time that it rained. We took pictures and videos and stuff of the rain and in the tent. And, we made the best of it. We came home, like Angie said, fire in the fire pit, reading the books. It was cool. It was like camping, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, we had a nice hot shower when we got home.
That's right.
We were freezing, but we could have done that at the campground.
That's
Get
right.
like 2 minutes of hot water at the campground.
That's
right?
true. But we are going to turn right back around and do it again. I've got a tent picked out. We're just kind of making sure it's the right one because I'd like to get a good one that's not super expensive but good enough quality.
Yeah.
So
because we are going to try in the cooler months get some camping in. Once it's hot, we'll be skipping that, I think.
That's right. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much wraps the show this week, guys. I want to thank you for listening as always. And, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you giving us a rating, a review, or even subscribing. And just if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you have a recommendation on what tent Dan should buy, you can call us at 407-490-3899. Or you can email us at feedback@fineanddangy.com.
Yeah, or also message us on any of our social media at Fine and Dangy. You know where you can find us.
That's right.
And guys, we thank you so much for everything you do. We appreciate everything that you are doing to help those in your community, whether it be a kind act, a smile, opening the door for someone, wearing your mask in your community around those that might be at high risk. So we appreciate everything that you are doing to help others.
Indeed.
And ask yourself each and every day, how can you help more?
That's right. Like Angie said, how can you help people in your community? Maybe you have money to donate. Maybe you have time to donate.
Yeah.
Maybe you have old toys to donate or old clothes to donate, or maybe you don't have any of that and you just want to hold the door for somebody or smile or be kind to those in your neighborhood.
Or like I was thinking when we were talking with Teri, or can we share information about a new business, a new small business or restaurant or artist that we found out about so that we can help to support them during these, tough times some people may be going through.
Exactly. And speaking of which, Teri has, she dropped back by here. She wants me to fix her computer, but she is going to hook us up with a long list of people that she knows who run various charities for various groups. So we're really excited to start lining up some of those guests as well.
Yeah, we love to let people know in the community about those small nonprofits, profits especially. Don't edit that out.
All right.
Angie had her flubber. Anyway, guys, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we look forward to bringing you some of the great guests we have over the next few weeks and months, because hopefully we will have the next few months booked out by the end of this week. And just remember, at the end of the day, it's all fine and dandy.